Hey everyone, in this video I want to talk about how to compare the various hosting providers to get the most value for your particular situation. So there are a lot of hosting companies out there and they try to get your business. So you have to make a decision with which hosting provider you want to go. And this can depend on some particular things that are relevant for your situation. I want to go over the type of projects that you will typically be working on and some of the factors that may give one hosting provider an advantage over other one. Most likely your project will fall into one of these categories. So you may be building some kind of personal blog or portfolio website, basically a very simple, small personal project. Or you may be building some kind of brochure site, maybe a restaurant website, dentist website, salon website. Typically a small business, you have a location, physical location perhaps, and you just need some digital presence, some website, display the essential business information that people need to know about. You may actually also have some kind of e-commerce project. So an e-commerce site has completely different requirements than a very simple brochure site, right? So you have to take a look at the hosting provider to see if it's a good fit. You may be running some kind of really content heavy website, like a news website or magazine website. This has also some special requirements. They have a lot of media, typically a lot of images. Maybe you have a membership website, some kind of LMS project. So this is typically with a lot of user authentication, logged in people, sometimes also a lot of videos these days because people will have access to a playlist of content or videos. Maybe you are a freelancer or you run an agency, you're some reseller. So basically you have clients that will fall into one of these other categories. You also want to have a hosting provider that can help you run those businesses smoothly, right? So you can easily manage multiple websites. And if your clients want to log in themselves and do some things, that they also have some kind of maybe even white label experience. That is completely different as well. So let's actually go through these and look at some of the things that you want to pay attention to when picking a hosting provider. Now, regardless of the category that you fall into here, there will be some factors that are relevant for any setup. So to analyze all of this, I'm going to use SiteGround. They are also today's sponsor. I had a great time using them so far. They provide a lot of things out of the box, so it's a great fit to showcase some of these factors. And it's actually also one of the reasons why I prefer them, because they provide so much out of the box. I basically see it as like an all-in-one platform for my digital presence. So if I'm starting a small business, I can do pretty much most of the things I would want to do with just one platform. I think that's a major plus. We'll talk more about that. But that is actually already the first factor that is relevant for comparing these hosting providers, which is that do they provide everything out of the box? Is it an all-in-one platform basically? Or is it only hosting, right? So only the website hosting. And then if you want to have domains or email marketing or perhaps a website builder, do you have to go to other tools and sort of glue together a bunch of different tools? I would argue that you should spend time on the thing that you're actually good at, but what you need to actually run your business. You shouldn't be focusing on these technical things. So we want to minimize gluing together a bunch of different tools. We want to go with a platform like SiteGround that actually has all of that in one dashboard actually. So you can see it's not only web hosting, right? WordPress hosting, of course. They also have domains, email marketing, a website builder. If you're a reseller or you're an agency or freelancer, they have options for that out of the box as well. I'll show you that a bit later in the video as well. So that's relevant for any hosting provider. To what degree have they integrated all of these different tools into their own platform? No matter what category you're in, that's important. All right, so second thing will be pricing, of course. So obviously you need to take a look at what actual features you will get for the price. So I actually like SiteGround's 1-year price because you get a premium set of features with an initial discount on the first year. These features include, for example, on these two plans, unlimited websites, a lot of web space, a lot of visits, unmetered traffic, right? Which is actually really good because for some other providers, they may actually charge you for traffic, for example, right? And then here we have managed WordPress features. I'll show you some of these in a second. And there are a lot of hosting features here are actually really good because you don't have to buy them separately. So for example, it comes with a free domain and free SSL, free email, daily backup. You can add collaborator, right? And much more actually. So it's a really premium feature set and you can get it at a great discount for the first year. So you can try it out for a really good price. So here you can see we get all of this out of the box, not only hosting, right? So you have to compare the features and the price at the same time. All right, third thing that is relevant for any category that you may be building in is actually customer support. This is one of the most stressful things when something goes wrong and you need some help. And even if you're pretty savvy and sometimes things just go wrong and you don't know what's going on and you need to contact somebody. So it's really important that you pick a hosting provider that actually has good customer support. Now, actually, I tried contacting the customer support on SiteGround multiple times, and I've always had a really fast response, and it's actually a real human, not just AI. So if we go to the help center here, for example, and of course there's a knowledge base with an AI assistant. So if you have a very basic question, that may already be enough. But of course, at some point, I also want to be able to contact an actual human. Now, I can say something like, something's wrong with my domain. I have some issue here, and this is one of the websites I set up. So it will come up with some suggestion, but let's say it doesn't work for me. So now I actually want to go to the chat or call. Let's go to chat here, and let's just ask a question, and let's see how fast we get a response. All right, so here I cut away a little bit in the video, but you can see within a minute or so after asking, I'm already talking to the customer support and I can work on getting my question resolved, right? So customer support is critical as well. You're gonna get really annoyed if you cannot get a handle on somebody actually on their support team. So I would say those are some really three critical fundamental aspects. Like, is it an all-in-one platform or you have to glue together a bunch of tools? What's their pricing for a longer period of time? And the customer support. My personal opinion is that SiteGround is doing really well on those factors. But now let's actually hone in on the type of project that you may be building, and let's take a look at some of those factors that may be relevant. So let's say you're building a simple personal blog or portfolio website. So what are some of the most important factors in that case? All right, so I would argue that it's a simple setup, so it's really important that you do have that all-in-one capability. So the platform should offer the fundamentals for a digital presence in one dashboard or platform. So in SiteGround's case, they do provide me with domains here, also email marketing, the hosting itself, the actual website. I can build the website. Here there's a website builder integrated here actually as well. Right, so here there is a website builder, comes with analytics out of the box as well. I'll show you how to set up a website from scratch in a second. That's the hosting provider you want to find, right? Something that allows you to do these things in one platform. You may make mistakes at some point. So it's really nice to have a backup so you can easily revert back to a version that was still working properly. What I like about SiteGround actually is they make backups super easy. So backup is actually really important because even if you're experienced, sometimes things will go wrong. And it's really nice if you can just go back to what was working before with just a few clicks. So we want to make backups so that we can go back whenever we want. Now you can see all sites come with automated daily backups included for up to 30 days. And so here we can view those rollback if we want. So there are daily backups here. This is really nice, one of my favorite features. And so if you want to revert back to an earlier version of your website, or maybe you made a mistake or something else went wrong, it's just really convenient and great for peace of mind that you have backup. A really core feature, I would say. So here on SiteGround, they actually have a daily backup feature for all of these plans, and they keep them for 30 days. That's a check mark here. I think that's really important. Now, of course, if you have a personal blog and it's just it's not a commercial project for you, you're going to be really price sensitive. So in that case, the price is going to be a big factor. Now, if you have a portfolio and it's a small portfolio, but it's still commercial, maybe you're a photographer and you do expect to get some business out of it, you're probably not as price sensitive, but of course, it's still going to be important. All right, so what about some kind of brochure website? Maybe you're running a restaurant or some kind of salon or dentist office or whatever. Basically, some kind of small business and you need some kind of digital presence. So I'm always imagining some busy restaurant owner that has a lot of things going on. The kitchen is on fire. There's something going on with the website and they need to get a website online. So the last thing you want to do as a business owner like that, you don't want to spend time on this technical digital stuff. You just want to get a website up and running. So you want to find a hosting provider that has some kind of easy website builder. So in the case of SiteGround, they do have this SiteGround website builder. They have some really nice templates actually. An AI assistant, so for example, to generate the text and stuff that you want to have on your website very easily and quickly. You want to be able to be found on Google and so on, so you have some SEO capabilities here as well. Basically, you don't want to spend much time on setting things up, and so some kind of easy site builder is important, or some kind of template starter wizard. If you do get a bunch of people going to your website. Now, at some point, you may want to edit your website, but you're not super savvy with these things because you're not spending much time on this. So before you make a change or a big change, you probably want to add some staging. So if you make a mistake, you can avoid it becoming an actual live website. So if you have a staging environment, that's nice because it's a little bit more safe against some mistakes. And I would say mistakes are a little bit more likely because it's not your core competency, right? This website. So you're going to make slightly more mistakes, but that's okay because you have a staging environment so you can roll back if there is an issue. So in the case of SiteGround with the WordPress installation, you can have a staging environment, basically a copy of your website on which you can try some things before you're actually pushing it to live production for everyone to see. Now, you're going to be super busy. So if something is going wrong and you can't revert or you don't know what's going on, you need to be able to contact somebody. And like I just showed you, you want to be able to talk to a real human at some point, not just an AI. So you do have this need for easy access to support, right? So in the case of SiteGround, like I just showed you, there was actually a really good experience. It's very fast. I personally actually always had a great time reaching out to the support team, and it's very fast and really good. All right, so as a small business, you're going to need to get people into your business, obviously. And email marketing is probably still a very important tool. It allows you to talk to your customers directly, which is actually quite unique from a marketing channel perspective. There's not many channels that allow you to speak to your customers one-on-one, essentially, without a lot of distractions. So email marketing, especially for small business, is really important. If you have some kind of promotion or you want to be able to reach people and you want to collect their emails and ultimately send them an email or some monthly updates, you want to have a hosting provider that also has email marketing built in. So actually in SiteGround, I have a lot of email features here, but specifically email marketing is part of the platform here as well. So you have sign-up forms, even an AI email writer. So that's pretty neat. All right, so then we get to an e-commerce website. So e-commerce is actually quite unique. You have a catalog of products, and each product typically has images. So in terms of storage, in terms of how much content you're going to store, it's much bigger than some of these other websites we looked at. Well, you also have a security aspect. So people will be, if they order something, they may type in their personal information, maybe even credit card information. So security becomes a really big issue. Okay, so here in SiteGround, we have those backups. So if something goes wrong, you can revert back. But there's also an SSL manager. So there is some encryption we can enforce HTTPS. There's a site scanner here as well. Security is going to be a bigger factor. Of course, it's always a big factor, but on an e-commerce website, you may deal with more sensitive data, so maybe an even bigger concern. So again, backups are going to be a big part of this as well. Also because with e-commerce, you may have a bunch of plugins, and e-commerce websites tend to have a lot of plugins actually, because you have some kind of feature that you want, like abandoned cart plugin. So basically, if somebody has filled out their cart with a bunch of products, but they didn't actually pay, you want to send them an email like, hey, you forgot these in your cart, right? There's a plugin for that. And maybe there's another plugin for like some widget that pops up when the user is browsing. So you're going to have a bunch of plugins, and these plugins, they can sometimes mess up your website as well, or there's something goes wrong. So we want to be able to back up things and go back if something goes wrong. Actually, that's also why we want to have a staging environment as well, especially important here because typically, if your website goes down for even a little bit, it actually costs you real money. So the margin for error here for technical issues is much lower than some of these other categories. Now, the other thing with an e-commerce website is that you may actually have spikes of traffic. So think about Black Friday or some sales event. You're going to have a peak in traffic. Maybe you're running a promotion, but basically you may have periods of time where you need more capability because you have a lot of visits, or maybe you actually have a much bigger catalog at some point. Your number of products is growing, and so you need some more headroom in terms of resources for visits or storage, right? So here in SiteGround, you want to take a look at the resources that you get. So with the Go Geek plan, for example, I get 400,000 visits a month approximately, right? So there are some specifications here for how you should interpret that number. We get some space here, and we get some traffic data transfer as well. So this is something you need to compare, right? So not every hosting provider is going to give you the same amounts of visits for the same price, right? So you have to compare that. But these are actually really good numbers for the price that you pay. All right, so what if you're building some kind of news website or a magazine site, basically a very content heavy website? Well, in this case, you're going to have a lot of content, meaning articles, perhaps text, images, and maybe even videos. So this is going to have impact your storage a lot. It's the same story as before. You need to take a look at how much space you're getting for the plan that you go with, right? So the content websites can get really, really big over time. A couple of years go by and you have a lot of storage. Now, if you're building this website, of course, it also goes for some of these other ones, but for news magazine or a magazine type of site, especially for a magazine type of site, it may actually be more of a global audience. So you get a lot of people from different countries. And so we want to have our website be fast for all of them. Basically, our website will be copied into other locations on Earth as well, meaning different data centers as they're called. And so if somebody from Australia tries to go to your website, they will be served by a data center in Australia, let's say. It's going to be much faster for them. And then somebody from Germany is going to be served from a data center in Germany. So a CDN basically is copies of websites around the world. It's faster, so that it's fast for anyone trying to access your site. Now, actually, one of the things I like most about SiteGround is that if we take a look here under speed, we actually get a CDN here out of the box. It's actually a client favorite. And you can see here an essential CDN, a basic CDN is free here. So I can go with that and set up the CDN for my website right here. Now, for an image, it's not only about storing them, we actually want to serve them. That's so basically somebody is downloading an image from our server, and that's traffic. And you can see here, it's actually unmetered on SiteGround as long as you are using it in line with fair use guidance. It's possible that some other hosting provider will actually charge you money for that type of data transfer. So that's also something that you want to pay attention to. Now, media optimizer is also important because with all of these images, if we can reduce their size, it actually makes a big difference. So if I create a WordPress instance with SiteGround, there are some default plugins that I get from SiteGround as well, among them the speed optimizer. So there are a couple of things we can do, but most importantly for media, we can do some things here as well. One of those things is image compression. So if I upload a PNG image, so .png, that's lossless. So it's very high quality, but it's a huge image. Whereas there are some formats like WebP, for example, that are much smaller. It will load much faster for the user and it will look approximately the same. So it's slightly lower in quality, but it's hardly noticeable in many cases. And you get much smaller image sizes in return for that. So we want to do image compression most of the time as well. And there are some other media optimizations that we can do as well. That's a very important thing to pay attention to for I would say mostly news and magazine site, because you have a lot of images. For membership or LMS, the unique aspect of it, I would say, is that it's very login dependent. So there are a lot of people logging in. Basically, a lot of the website features are gated behind some kind of authentication. This typically means that you don't have as much caching going on. So the load on your actual server and database may increase. So with this option, you probably want to take a look at, is it using a modern version of PHP? The database is that all modern, and is it all somewhat up to date? Now with SiteGround, they are handling the PHP so that it's even faster. And they even have a custom engineered MySQL for the database. So they really squeeze out as much performance as they can for you. So you can handle those high traffic spikes properly. And SiteGround also deploys the newest and the most stable versions of PHP and MySQL when they become available. The other thing actually that's also quite important for this is that you probably also have a bunch of plugins. So with these types of LMS or membership sites, there's typically also a bunch of plugins that will take care of a particular aspect. With these plugins, sometimes things go wrong, and so backups are important. And you have a lot of content, right? So people typically subscribe to your membership site because you're offering them some kind of content. Could often is actually videos these days. I actually run a website like that myself. And so basically you may have a lot of media content again, and so these are going to be important. And also you're going to have a lot of people from other countries, so CDN is important for that as well. It's actually quite similar. All right, now what if you're a freelancer or an agency or some kind of reseller and you have clients? Now those clients will have websites that fall in maybe any of these categories. So depending on the clients you have, the requirements aren't going to be the same as what we just discussed. For you specifically, sometimes a client may want to log in and do things themselves. We don't want to have our client having to use our account, so then we have to give our account details to the client and then they have to log in. That's a major hassle if we have to do it that way. You want to go with a hosting provider that has already thought about this and has some features for that. So just to give you an example of how SiteGround deals with this. So I can actually go to collaborations here, and there are actually two different types of collaboration. So with SiteGround, I can actually set up users and roles. So typically there's going to be a collaborator or a client role. So if I create a new user, I can decide, should it be a collaborator? So this could be somebody who's on your team. So it could be some kind of developer or designer, editor perhaps. Basically people that are on your side of the team, so to speak. They may also need access to the websites and configure things. So we can create a user and then allow them access. Now, if you have clients and your clients will want to do things themselves, we don't want to give our own account details. We just want to allow them to log in. We can do that here with the client role. And we can give a more white labeled experience. It can be more branded in the way that we want. So with that white label functionality, you can hide the SiteGround name and logo. So your clients in their site tools dashboard won't see them. And you can choose a custom domain name for your name servers. Now, there are some other things that SiteGround has that as a freelancer or agent to speed up your workflow, for example, you can use as well, like Git integration and a file manager with drag and drop, an inline code editor even. You can switch between sites with one click and some other things as well. So I think SiteGround is just a really good offering if you're a freelancer or agency. And so you want to go with a hosting provider that offers something like that. All right. Now you also want to, ideally you get also unlimited sites per account. You may have a lot of websites, right? So let's actually see what SiteGround has here. So unlimited websites with a single hosting plan as far as none of the hosting plan's resource limitations are reached. So basically if you stay within these limits, you can create more websites. So if you already know that you have, let's say 50 websites or 100 websites, and you approximately know the resources that they take up in total, you can make the calculation and see how many hosting plans you would need and then compare that across the hosting provider. All right, so yeah, with the pricing, I would recommend checking out the 1 year initial billing plan. You get a massive discount and you get this value-packed service with what I would consider really premium features, but still at a very affordable price, so you can just try it out for the first year. All right, so now I hope that you have a better idea of how to compare hosting providers to get the best value for your particular situation. Now, just for SiteGround's purposes here, if you're just looking to get started quickly, find a link in the description. I actually had a great time using them, so I would give SiteGround a shot. You can find a link in the description, and here in the websites, I can create my website. If you already have a domain, if you don't have a domain yet, you can even register it here, right? All in one. If you already have one, you can do that, or just quickly use a temporary domain. I can start a new website or migrate. Let's start a new one. So SiteGround has their own website builder these days. This is actually new. This is the easiest way to get started. You're not going to manage everything starting from a WordPress admin dashboard. It's actually going to be just a dashboard inside SiteGround. And this is the quickest way to get started. So if you have, let's say, a small website, brochure website, and you just quickly want to get started, this is the option to go with. However, if you want a complete WordPress instance and just do a lot of things from the WordPress admin dashboard, maybe e-commerce website with WooCommerce, this is the option you want to go with. Let me actually show you SiteGround's website builder here. Continue. So we get a CDN that we discussed, right? Especially important with a more global audience. We also get SSL security. So people are filling out their details, perhaps we want to have as much security as possible. Let's go with these options. And so then it's going to create my website, may take a minute or so. All right, so after a minute or two, we get the success message here and we can get started with, building the actual website. So here they allow us to pick a actual template. They actually look pretty good. Let's say I'm going with this hotel website and we get a nice hotel website here, responsive as a template, and now we can customize it So if we want, I can go here, and here we have the website builder. So here I can add sections, I can change the text, right? What you see is what you get. I can change the colors, the branding. I can use AI to generate the text, so you don't have to come up with all the text yourself completely from scratch. Basically, the actual design and content of the website. Here we also have the marketing overview, so we want to see where people are coming from. We want to have a sitemap as well, so that it's easy for Google and other search engines to know all the pages that we have and to index all of that. We have page SEO here as well. Analytics is really important. Once you do get some traffic, we want to see where people are coming from, how long they stay, what kind of pages they are looking for. And based on that, we can improve things on our website, and it allows us to grow. If you do live in a particular time zone, if you want to change the time zone or site language, we can change that here as well. So this is the easiest way to get started, I think. So if that's what you're looking for, check out the link in the description. Maybe you just want to try it out, SiteGround, that's also possible. So you can just see what the platform looks and feels like. In any case, I want to thank you for watching. Hopefully this helps you out. Good luck with your web hosting journey. And I want to thank SiteGround for sponsoring the video as well. Have a nice day, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.